Here we are, hitting up events, drinking our way through Chicago beer, and trying not to miss a thing.
Yeah, because, the cork popped out, boom, it flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
All you have to do is add some fruit, stir it up, and ride that milk-shaped wave.
Whenever I see him, I gotta take a photo with the most decorated brewer in Chicago, Jonathan Cutler.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. You ever go to, every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Sometimes you want a small beer, but really, you want a big beer.
You gotta take in all those big aromatic hops.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Waiting in line for a bottle release?
You should have never been a fad. The black IPA is delicious.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski,
Brad, what's up, man? I'm Nick White.
and we're recording this episode on St. Patrick's Day, although...
It's like Groundhog's Day, man. I feel like it's been St. Patrick's Day for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because we've been drinking, I think maybe 3. I think we did like Guinness and Murphy's like 3 weeks ago.
That's right.
And the episodes are all messed up, and so, or they're coming out in order, they're just delayed. So
It's the most, this is the most St. Patrick's Day I've had in a calendar year.
yeah, like for Christmas beers and stuff, we celebrate Christmas like a long time, but you don't often drink like a new Christmas beer. Like they're kind of just all the same, right?
That's true. I mean, like Oktoberfest, you got 2 big styles, right? Christmas is kind of all just like spiced winter warmer stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple winter IPAs, but not really. I wouldn't say 2 styles. There's really just one Christmas style.
Right.
But in October, St. Patty's Day, we talk about a dry Irish stout and Irish style red.
But Oktoberfest, if you're drinking those, that sort of feels like a longer period. It's not like a day that you... It sort of is a day, but not really a day. Like you can't be like, October 25th is Oktoberfest Day.
That's true. So it's not a straight comparison because Christmas and St. Patty's Day are days.
Yeah.
And the Oktoberfest / wet hot beer / pumpkin beer season is all around the same time, but it's not a day.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's no comparison. So Christmas is the only comparison I did. You're
Yeah,
right.
but I do feel like we've been celebrating St. Patrick's Day for a while now.
Irish as fuck around here, bud.
Chmielewski. And then we have another local Irish beer style from a brewery, Hopewell.
Right on. What is this, Brad? This is next round Irish Stout.
Yeah, 4.2%. And so we've been drinking a lot of the Irish red ales. We did the, what was this, the Lucky Linny. Mm-hmm. The other week, we did the Dicey Riley like a year ago, I think. So we haven't done it this season, but we have one here.
Yeah.
And so this is the Irish Dry Stout. But we were talking in the pre-show, I think we lean towards the red ales.
As a like a preferred style for the season, for sure. And you brought up a good point, man. Like you wish, I think it was yesterday you were talking about how somebody mentioned how brewers all kind of rush and do this style like a week before St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
And it really should be a wider window.
Yeah, I was I mentioned a tweet from Austin over at Beer Miscuous. He was like, "Oh, breweries will put out their pumpkin beer in July, but when it comes to their Irish red ale, it's got to come out like 2 weeks before."
Yeah, and there's a lot of truth in that,
But what do you think of this Irish stout from Hopewell?
I like it. There is a very pronounced roasted coffee note. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's taking all my concentration and placing it right there on that note.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of that's a little too high for me. I wish that were dialed back. Other than that, I'm on board with it.
It's nice that it's 4.2, but flavor and taste-wise, I'm not in love with it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with some Dicey Riley as we get into the show here.
Right on.
This is from Beguile. I made it over there. I think I mentioned that on one of the episodes a few weeks ago. And I had this beer. It was great.
Right on.
And we got our Guinness mugs. We got our green on.
Yeah, man. Limited edition Bulls, man. This usually sits on my wall. I never wear it,
nice.
so I'm just pulled it down.
So you got the Bulls
Monday only.
scarf. I got the Bulls green hat going. We're good here.
Let's go Bulls.
All right, where do we want to start?
Yeah.
Your burning bush trip?
Yeah, that's a good one. Burning Bush in North Center. It's right next to Horner Park. It's the midway point between what was the original half acre. Well, shit, I now that that's Hot Butcher. It's a midway point between that and the old Twisted Hippo. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So right on Irving Park Road.
Yeah, basically on the river.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's the preacher man. You know. So I got the flight, and it's funny because it's like all his beers are like Broken Bread, Son of Babel, Born Sinner. You know, all these kind of like biblical references, which is kind of funny. He's got roots in the Pacific Northwest, so he's got a Spruce Tip IPA.
Oh, right, yeah. That one's okay.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite. He said his top selling beer is his hazy IPA.
Really?
Yeah. So
We had that Tower of Babel beer.
Yeah.
That was tasty.
yeah, that was good. It was that's a kettle sour with blueberry. So he's like, yeah, we make it right there with the rest of them. I'm like, do you got a special process for this? He's like, no, we just clean the kettle real good when we're done. But we add our lactobacillus right there where we would normally pitch any yeast, and then boom.
Neat. Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. Got the classic boat truss ceiling, the upside down boat. And what I will say about this place, nice open wood floor plan, kind of the perfect spot if you want to chill at a brewery and get some work done. It's not crawling with tourists. It's kind of off the beaten path a little bit, just this random side street off, Old Irving. And if you're there, you could really post up and get some work done.
Yeah, because it has like a coffee shop vibe a little bit, and the tables are spread out, or they were when I went in there, and it was still like, kind of middle of COVID stuff, so maybe they are adding more tables now.
Yeah, and they got a patio. They got outdoor seating in the back, apparently. So the door was open. You could see the outdoor seats back there. So that was good.
So is it just in like a parking lot outside?
It's got to be. It was too cold, but...
It's not close enough to the water to feel like you're on the water, but you're on the river there. But it's also the river, so it's not that interesting.
Right. And then you might actually have line of sight to the new bike path because that's kind of elevated.
Yeah.
So. But no, I didn't go back there. Maybe I should have now that we're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Chill spot. If you just got the urge to hang out in a brewery and you haven't been to this one and you're in the city,
Okay.
it's just a good hang.
It's the closest one to my place.
Yeah, I was one and done. I got the flight and then got out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And then last night we were over at Goose Island, Clybourne, for a beer dinner.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, Clybourne for me.
Yeah, Chicago's oldest brew pub, got the revamped look. It's the brew house now. It's a very modern looking joint now.
Yeah.
I guess I'm on board with it. They kept some touches of what it used to be.
Right.
But for the most part, it's kind of a whole new joint.
Yeah, especially since they expanded the brew house and got rid of the little quiet dining area and the pool tables.
Yeah. The charm of that joint was the cellar, where there was, room for, I'd say, maybe 30, 40 folks, and then the loft. And the loft connected to the party room that we were in,
Right.
which I think is the the Strauss room.
I think so. I think it's called now.
So, so this was much smaller than the last event. The last event was in the Vintage Room, which is the biggest second bar. It's the rear bar in the joint, which I think you can put like 80 people in there.
Yeah, so this dinner had like about 20 people there, I'd say.
Okay.
And it was called the spring dinner, but it was focused on like classics, right?
Yeah. So spring dinner, and where the last one was a BCS dinner, and we said that's probably why you saw the attendance drastically different, because everything in the other one, aside from the welcoming beer, was like all BCS stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna get very many people to sign up to come drink Honkers.
Right. It's a much smaller group. I think the only people jazzed about it might have been me, you, the brewer.
Right.
And then maybe the dude we saw from the Twitter post.
Well, even you were talking with one of the people there, and they asked what was your favorite. And you're like, Sophie. It was
Oh,
like
she's
not what I thought.
She
It
was
just,
like, I'll
walked-
come back later.
She walked away.
Maybe that'll change. She sure did say that. Yeah. Daria, the manager there.
But having
funny.
one of the beers was Sophie. It was paired with, was that the one paired with the hummus or was that paired with the rye toast? I forget.
Let's
But-
see. We got the pictures right here, Brad.
Oh yeah.
It's the only way we're gonna remember anything ever, man.
But not having Sophie in such a long time.
Yeah. Sophie was dish 2, so that was the rye toast,
Okay.
pickled mustard, and mustard emulsion. Sorry.
But it also had cod on the rye toast, which isn't mentioned. Like, there's a lot of cod. It's not just a piece of rye toast.
I'm looking at Brad like, what the fuck's on this toast? Yeah, you should have mentioned that. That's funny.
But yeah, having Sophie was delightful, I guess.
Yeah. That was the best part about this dinner. It's like they got a serious vault of classic beers, beers that just remind you of when you first got into beer, and beers that are very good. You just haven't made your way back around to them. Mm-hmm. Sophie and Honkers, perfect examples of that.
Matilda.
Oh, man, Matilda. Are you kidding me? So,
They had a Matilda sidecar. It was like was it Bourbon County? Oh no, it was an old rum stout.
yeah, which was basically BCS and rum barrels.
Right.
Yeah.
With a sidecar of Matilda. That's not how this works.
A 7.5% sidecar. Here you go.
They did say, or did the Brewers say that the beer list was way bigger and they had to pare it down.
They like to turn up at these fucking parties, man.
They just have so much beer. They're like, let's just offload some of this.
Yeah, I think they slated it for 80 ounces. And then they're like, well, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. People don't know how to act. We need to limit them. Right? Yeah, should we fire off the beers, man? I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
First up was an old-fashioned old ale at 11%. Okay. So they said that was Mike Siegel's invention. It's supposed to be like an Old Forester old-fashioned. So it's orange peel, old ale, and Old Forester barrels.
Right. But we had a welcome beer, but I for the life of me, forget what it was.
Yeah, it was modeled after Miller High Life.
Yeah.
And it was the
a
Brewers.
corn adjunct lager thing.
Right. We talked about Sophie. There's a beer called After Hours, which was a...
Dunkelbach.
Yeah. Which you hear Dunkel Weiss. Don't really hear about the Dunkelbach.
Yeah,
too often.
I looked this up this afternoon. It is an actual style, and New Glarus is like Ufdasbach or Ufdus or something.
One of their
New
Bachs?
Glarus has a Bach, and it said it was a Dunkelbach.
It's a Dunkelbach. There you go. It's all about that Dunkelbach, man. Honkers Ale made an appearance with fish and chips. Mm-hmm. That was,
It was. I feel like I would have rather had regular fish and chips.
This was definitely the remix of the fish and chips.
This was fish and potatoes.
Yeah. So it was their interpretation of so it was like, what was going on with this fish?
I think it was a halibut.
So what'd they do to this halibut? Did they just steam it? I think it was steamed halibut.
Maybe, yeah.
Right? Because there was no breading, no spices. It just kind of looked like fish, but steamed,
right.
right? Broiled, maybe? I don't know. Oh, but anyway, and the chips, like Brad said, were just kind of circle potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like El Gratin potatoes, just like potato pieces. I don't know.
Yeah. I was really excited about old school
Fish and chips and Honkers.
beer battered fucking fish and chips.
That's what I was hoping for, and I was a little. This was good, but I was kind of wanted a Honkers and
It makes me want to order fish and chips this weekend.
I am.
Yeah. It was interesting though. It had an English pea puree too.
Yeah.
Kind of driving home the whole, I don't know.
Fish and chippy.
Yeah, what are they?
English
yeah.
pub thing.
We talked about the fine old rum and Matilda sidecar, and then we closed out with Prop 2019.
But first, they gave us a double barrel.
That's right, special guest, unannounced, just like the fish on the on the rye bread, was a double barrel BCS, man. Pouring good.
Did people clap? Because I went to the bathroom right when this happened, and then someone was like, "Oh, they were clapping."
Yeah, people were excited. There was a fervor. It was buzzing with the excitement in the room. And people were like, yeah, fucking right, yeah. I tell you, man.
Was it just because it was double barrel, or was it because they were getting something else?
Oh,
You think?
right.
If it was like
Like they didn't know much
Right.
about double barrel to be jazzed. I think they knew.
we're giving you Goose IPA, people be like, yeah.
Oh, because it's just another thing. You look on this list. So Old Ale, BCS 19, and the rum barrel thing, plus another. So that's 4 barrel aged beers.
Yeah.
So you got the 4, and right away that fucking double barrel I think is kind of stands on its own. Like it's rich, but it's just that good, nice chocolate fudge fucking delight.
Yeah, that was a beer you were, I feel like, or at least for me, was the most happy while I was drinking. I was like, this is just a very good beer.
Yeah, it's well done. It's going for $80 a pop at the pub if anyone's interested.
Damn, I didn't even finish my whole glass.
We talked with the staff about their if these were menu items or is this like just a test kitchen kind of thing. And apparently 3 of these items have made appearances in some form or another on the menu. Yeah. So it was a good showcase for what they're able to do.
Yeah, and then we asked about Honkers Ale because I hadn't seen it. I didn't even know it's on the tap list at the pub.
Right.
But apparently they brew it very often at the Clybourne pub, and it's done there. It's on from time to time. They said it's a little different than what you might remember it. It's just a little different grain build for it.
Different systems. So I think what he was saying was, on this one you get more fruit for whatever reason. It's brewed on different systems. You get different things. Like you get a bigger hop presence at Fulton, and then you get a more forward fruity malt presence on here at Clybourne, which is kind of interesting. Like because we talked about Half Acre when they went to Balmoral, how we thought they might have changed the recipe because fucking Daisy Cutter tasted so different. And I'm like, is it us or is it a new spot? And it's probably the new spot.
All right.
So that was interesting.
And apparently Honkers is sometimes still brewed at the Fulton one, but
That's
it was
right.
not clear how or why or when.
Yeah. They said they brew it, but they didn't really give insight on how we could get it.
Yeah.
They just confirmed that they do brew it at Fulton.
Right.
Yeah. So this was good, man. I feel like every time we're there, we get to talk to the folks there, and then we just get to enjoy that pub, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm. And then I think we sort of tentatively scheduled an interview with the brewer there.
Yeah, that ought to be good. He's following up the big fella who's there for a while, Big John Nagaski, I think his name was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he split, but those were the last the last beers to medal at FOBAB were John's beers. Just some barrel aged fruit beers from Goose Clybourne.
Interesting.
So he kind of for there was a period in the mid 2010s where Goose Clybourne was winning just as many FOBAB medals as Goose Fulton.
Right.
And he's following up that guy.
Okay.
So this was a good hang.
Yeah. And I ended up biking there, so it was a nice little 5-mile bike ride back, very full from afterwards. So it was a good dinner, and it seems like they're gonna do them often. They're the only people kind of doing beer dinners. You don't see them pop up very often.
That is very old school. Yeah, I want to say I saw Forbidden Root do something, and then they offered a to-go version of it. Their beer dinner, but outside of the Forbidden Root and this Goose thing, it's kind of it's becoming a lost art. The beer dinner.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, going into this Old Irving Lucky Linny, which we had on the show, I think I like the Dicey Riley a little better.
Really? Okay. Same style?
I don't know. It's the same style.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is. Maybe it's the hops that are used, but I'm going Dicey
Brian
Riley.
Baru wasn't Irish enough for you, huh?
Well, Brian Baru, it was gonna win. It's got those lovable hops.
This is not Brian Baru's
He's
great
not allowed.
class.
He's not allowed to play because he always wins. Wasn't invited this time. So yeah, that was a great time. I believe that was all of our stops. I was busy Getting my shenanigans on here.
Full blown. I was telling folks at work today, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, man, Brad threw this wild ass Saturday party. I'm not doing anything. I'm still kind of recovering.
For St. Patrick's
For
Day.
actual St. Patrick's Day weekend,
Yeah, that's how we're doing the podcast. But yeah, I am good. Had my fun last weekend. We drank, finished off a whole bottle of Kahlua and Bailey's, drinking baby Guinnesses.
Baby Guinnesses. Learned about the baby Guinnesses. Learned about the different parts of the island. Mm-hmm. Heard every single Irish song ever made. I got to give Brad and Maeve credit. True Irish. They didn't stray from this playlist at all. This was very true to. There's a very true Irish party.
Yeah.
So got to respect that. Because if you had this party, if I go to an Irish party in Lakeview, they're playing Black Eyed Peas or Cardi B or whatever the fuck the popular songs are.
Yeah.
They're mixing that in with the traditional.
There could be a band next year. There might be a couple people playing the fiddle and the harp next year.
You go to some of those pubs over there, that's all you see. There's no TVs. It's just a dude and a couple of his siblings just in the corner in a booth, just hanging out in the booth, playing all night. Oh,
so
man.
we could get to that level. We had to. This was their first one. We had to work our way up to having a band.
Leave some meat on the bone. Huh?
So that was great. Yeah, I'm not even having corned beef and cabbage today because I had plenty.
Yeah, you got your full. It was good.
Nice. And then there's a few things in the news and coming up. Well, first off, we're going to have 2 back-to-back guest episodes. We're going to have a brew day out at Emmett's next week, and we're going to interview the brewer out there. And then the week after that, Dan from Around the Bend, he's going to be here, and we're going to talk about his new fruited sour collection series. This should be great.
Yeah, it's been a while since we caught up with Dan. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I like Around the Bend. So that'll be a good time.
Yeah, awesome. The one big story was we were at the Goose event, and the Sox news was confirmed. I don't even know if anyone else is talking about this yet.
Yeah, that's right. So we asked the Goose folks about their plans for the upcoming baseball season, and they kind of said that begrudgingly that they're out at Sox Park. So that I think that's the end of the Goose Island. The fabulous Goose Island, actual island, the body of water.
I was kind of disappointed when I saw it. I thought it was...
It's more of a bubbling brook. It's not an island. And the big goose train with the gigantic 30-foot goose head, goose neck.
Yeah.
All those things are going to be gone. They lost the bid to Miller. So that location is either going to be a Miller or a Blue Moon scenario.
So it's going to be Miller, Blue Moon, and Modelo.
Those are going to be the top 3 beer sponsors next year. So Revolution is out. The Revolution has their own pub at Goose Island.
So that's just closing it down.
They're going to rebrand it. But 4 years ago or 5 years ago, that was the Miller Lite Party Deck.
Okay.
And Rev took it over. So it sounds like it might go back to that, or it might be a Blue Moon thing. So... yeah, this is very disturbing news. This sucks. This is the worst news of the year.
But they may keep the Craft Cave?
Yeah. Well, Craft Cave is 60 local beers behind the outfield wall on the lower level. And then they have another one in the 500 level, too. There's a Craft Cave up there, too.
Oh, there is. Because you're not allowed, or you weren't towards the end of the season allowed to travel or move between levels.
Oh, you couldn't if you had one. I know if you're on 500, you can't go to 100.
Even if you have 100, they're like, nah.
That's so weird, right?
Yeah. They're like, if you leave this, you can't, kind of come back in.
Part of the reason I like the park so much is because there's so much to see, and so, each station's food is different. So you got to cruise all the stations. It's kind of like a game and just get all the different food options.
Right.
So, I like going upstairs.
Yeah, I was on the 100 level, so we only stayed there, and we didn't know where else to go, and they were they shut the doors, you're not allowed if you leave. I don't know if they're letting you back in, kind of thing.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, man.
So, do you think this is going to have an impact on people's drinking at the park?
It'll definitely affect my drinking at the park, right? Because Sox Park has all those They have all that parking space, so the tailgating game is really strong at that park to begin with. But then you don't really have to tailgate because there's so many options indoors.
Okay.
But now, I mean, the Sox had a golden ale with Goose, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and that's done now. That's
Right.
good. That's retired.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And then, I mean, I guess you still got the Craft Cave, but Craft Cave's kind of annoying to get to. You got to walk down to the outfield pole and then go behind the big seats and then go in there.
Yeah.
So I think the Craft Cave is something you do if you show up as gates open 90 minutes before first pitch. You go to Craft Cave and then and now you're done with Craft Cave, and then you kick it at the other two. You kick it at Goose. You kick it at Rev. That's gonna have to change this year, right? What am I gonna do when it's completely full Sox Park? I'm not going to the Craft Cave in the third inning. It's gonna be packed.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not ideal.
I don't know. When we went down to the Craft Cave, we probably went in around that like third or fourth inning. Don't think people know how to get into it. It's very confusing. And that was my first time at the park. So now I know what to do, but there's not really signs.
That's true. I think you can you know how you walk to upper levels, 1, 2, and 300 levels, 2 and 300 levels. There's those ramp stairway things.
Yeah, you couldn't use those.
You can use those. I mean, you can access the Craft Cave from those.
You can, but they were closed. Like the doors were shut. Like they're not letting people from other levels. So if you weren't on the 100,
that's right. Because if you were on 500 level, you could walk straight in down this ramp and get right in.
Yeah.
So really, the only way in is to walk the outfield down the 108 to the bottom of the stairs where the big foul pole is.
Yeah, and I feel like you're going where it's like, I don't know, who are these like people in these nice seats?
Those are the Goose Island seats.
And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna walk down here, and then you're like in this like room basically. It's weird.
So that's the right field pole. So you can enter Craft Cave at the right field pole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
So it's not really that busy.
Left, right. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But every time, I feel like if I was there and I want a beer, I'm gonna go over there because I don't want.
Well, now you have to.
Yeah. That's true.
Now you have to. So
I just don't know what the audience is. Are they going to just be like, okay, Miller, we're back to Miller?
Right. I mean, if you go to Wrigley, I went to Wrigley a couple times this year, and I was sharing a story. There's there's a little Virtue Cider, there's a little Daisy Cutter. But other than that, it's pretty much Goose and Budweiser products throughout the whole joint. Unless I think I end up going with like the full blown cubby margaritas. The Cubbarita comes in a cool cup, or a bucket. You get the bucket of fucking cubby margarita, and it's fucking party time.
Oh shit! Okay.
You know that. I like Wrigley. Yeah, I show up in all my sock shit. Wrigley's a good hang. Wrigley's a good hang. But the beer, beer's a secondary thing there. It'd probably be the same thing out here, man. I'll be like, listen, man, where's the fucking old fashioned?
All right. What was Maeve and I were talking about the park, and she was saying she likes to hang out at Wrigley more because you feel like you're outside. There's something about the Sox Park that even though you're outside, it doesn't feel like you're outside. It's like it's sort of, it doesn't feel as like.
Wrigley's seats are definitely smaller.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a turn back the clock kind of like it's a time warp.
Yeah.
You're in the same seats that people who saw Babe Ruth play. You're literally in the exact same footprint and the exact same style seats.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different scene, right? I don't know. You're still outside though.
Yeah, you're still outside. I think it's because it's the shape of the field is, I don't know, a little different. So you feel like it's more of a stadium at Sox Park than it is at Wrigley.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Even though Guaranteed Rate Field and Wrigley Fields are both field in name, I would say Sox Park feels more like a stadium than Wrigley does.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I get what you're saying. Sure. Yeah.
So now, but if you're gonna pick on the beer side,
shit is a fucking wash now. Well, still get a slight edge to the Sox because there's still 60 local brands.
Okay.
So they still get the edge, but they were like, it was way better last year. It was way better last year.
Damn. So that's That's a huge bummer for Goose and Revolution, and I'm
Yeah.
shocked that AB just didn't pay up to be at Sox Park. Like, why? They're like technically one of the best teams right now,
Yeah.
and you're gonna just be like, yeah, we don't need the sponsorship. We don't need to do it. But Miller's like, okay, we're
Yeah.
on board.
Well, they're probably paying so much money on the other side of town, right?
Oh, to keep Wrigley.
Right. I'm sure I don't know what the terms are, but they are the biggest beer sponsor up north is Budweiser. So they're probably just putting all their chips there. You know, I think Wrigley's going to be full. You know, every single time they open, it's going to be full. So it's a tourist attraction, just like Navy Pier is.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a whole different thing up there. So I guess they're kind of looking at it like, hey, for this metropolitan area, let's just put all our chips in where we're the biggest sponsor anyway, and fuck it.
Right. And this way we're getting people from out of town we're marketing to, where people going to see the Sox, they're not probably from out of town. And
That's
we're not
true.
going to convince anyone to start drinking Goose Island.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this is actually another Goose Island or AB marketing conversation, and we're like this and the Super Bowl. We want to know what the conversations are like. We want somebody from either AB or Goose to hang out.
Give us inside baseball. on
Right,
it.
so we can ask more questions about this, because I kind of want to know. Because if I'm AB, and, you know, shit, the only brewery bigger than Goose Island, capacity-wise, is probably Lagunitas.
Right.
So you're the oldest brewery, and you're probably the second biggest brewery in town. If I'm Budweiser, I absolutely keep Goose Island at Sox Park, because they're the best team in town. They're one of the best teams in baseball. You absolutely would do that. So I'm kind of curious to know why they didn't. It can't be a money thing.
Well, I don't know. It just it must be, right? They maybe also probably lost a lot of money in the last 2 years being the sponsor of these parks, because people couldn't really go to them. The demand was down with COVID and everything. So probably like, well, that wasn't worth it. We'll just like recoup. We'll just like scale back now and look at it in a couple years.
Yeah.
And they're probably like, we don't even know if baseball was coming back. We're out. Like, why would we pay to like be there?
Yeah, if the owners are locking the players out.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But damn. All right. So that story. What else has happened? Was there another news story?
Yeah, I saw something about the Madison, Wisconsin Brewers. So they got together, representatives for all the breweries in Madison, Wisconsin got together at a brewery called Working Draft Beer Company to discuss what they could do to help brewing colleagues in Ukraine. So they started the idea of brewing a Brew for Ukraine effort. So everyone's getting involved. They're doing a festival on April 24th at Wisconsin Brewing Company in Verona, and all the proceeds are going to the Ukraine relief effort.
Okay. Nice.
I keep wanting to call it Ukraine like we were doing last week. Yeah, but they've got a wheat ale, a dry hop golden ale, American red ale, and a Belgian triple, and a Ukrainian imperial stout.
Okay.
Yeah,
Instead of a Russian Imperial Stout?
right.
Okay. I'm over.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
I think even on Saturday, someone's like, oh, I could go for a white Russian. And we're like, yeah, they're white Ukrainians now. You
White
can't.
Ukrainians. Yeah. So tickets for the Madison Ukraine Beer Fest are still being worked out, but the plan is to do it at the end of April.
Nice. Okay.
So that was in the news.
Nice. You saw the stories where the breweries were like switching over to make like Molotov cocktails, right?
Oh yeah.
And but it got me thinking, are breweries there also distilleries? Because it's not like you're gonna light beer on fire, like.
Yeah, you gotta have like
Right. So the breweries in
booze to
Ukraine
light.
must also be distilleries, and they just don't distinguish the two like we do.
That's a good point. It's got to be like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, what? They're not. What are the breweries doing? You're not brewing. That's a distillery, but it's something lost in the translation there.
Yeah, because breweries. What is a brewery putting in a Molotov cocktail? Is your question?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Fireball. Yeah.
They're being exposed because they were using Fireball anyway in their fucking beer.
If you're using your beer and you're making Molotov cocktails, your beer is too strong.
What the fuck you got in this beer, man?
Yeah. Funny. But speaking of like breweries and stuff, we were talking about Great Central, right? And
That's right.
they are brewing like a incredible amount of people's beer right now.
You know, I was pleasantly surprised by this. You know, I did fall into, some dinner plans fell through. So to regroup, I needed a spot to drink and figure out what my next move was. End up at Great Central. Okay. So you fall in there, and every beer they make, they have on draft. So, 5 of their Great Central house brand beers. But then you start seeing all these names. Maplewood's the biggest. I was gonna say culprit, but it's the Maplewood's got like 8 of their beers on. Okay. Right? Which is kind of surprising. Like that's a lot of beer. Yeah. Maplewood's there. Cruz Blanca's there. LaGros is there. Old Irving is brewing there. Back in January of last year, Illuminated, Beguile, and Pollyanna were brewing there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's a good business model and it's doing what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
Brew other people's beer. And
then you saw this Brazilian Japanese female.
Yeah. There's 3 beers on draft from Japaz Saravajara.
Okay.
So, Brewery Japan, right? So then I look it up and I'm like, well, where the hell is Japaz Saravaharia? Right. And it's in São Paulo, Brazil, man. So
it's weird because you would think Great Central would just brew local people's beer.
Yeah. So that's a very weird phenomenon.
Like, are they shipping the beer back to them?
Right. That's what I don't understand. Like, is this brewery? It's an all-female Japan brewery based in Brazil, if I got that right. Japanese Brazilian all-female brewery. So what's going on there? Are they brewing it for the Chicago market, right?
But I've never seen it.
No, I never even heard of it until I saw this on the menu. Mm-hmm. I'm very confused there.
Yeah.
But if you want to go try this beer, it's on tap at Great Central.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Damn. Then I think the only event I saw was happening Monday. I believe it's the 21st. Is Stronger Together at Eris. It's raising money for Twisted Hippo.
Yeah.
So $75 beer fest ticket.
Yeah, I think all the proceeds go to Twisted Hippo. Oh. Shit, sorry. And then there's over 30. There's over 30 breweries.
Mm-hmm. From 5 to 8. So basically, go there, support the community, help Twisted Hippo get some money.
Yeah. Very important.
Seems like a good night. Cool. Anything else?
Man, I think that's it, Brad.
So which one do you like, Old Irving or?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I give this slight edge to Beguile.
Yeah.
Right? Over the Lucky Lenny when you have them back to back like that.
And then this Irish Stout. Sorry, Hopewell, but not feeling it today. It's not bad, but
I was at Rev and they had the Paddy Wagon on Nitro, and then the Guinness and the what was the other one that we had that came
Murphy's?
in the can? The Guinness and the Murphy Experience comes in a Nitro can, and it's well done. It's just like having it on draft in Nitro, so it's like that.
So you think maybe the next round on Nitro?
Right. Without the stout being on Nitro, it's hard to beat. The dry Irish stout, if it's not on Nitro in a can, it's kind of hard. It's hard to top what
Guinness is doing.
You know what I mean? It really is.
Yeah.
So
I want your flat. It's not flat, but Guinness and Murphy's are delivering me something special here.
Yeah, like a full-blown nitrous pub experience at the house.
Yeah.
That's what are you gonna do with that? That's tough to beat.
It's true. Damn. All right. Well, that's gonna do it. Our next episode is our 500th Chicago Beer Pass episode.
Holy shit!
I believe 500 or 400. 500, I think. That's a lot of episodes.
Maybe we should just name the beer 500.
Oh, when we brew it with them.
Just say 500, and
I didn't know we hadn't talked about names. I don't even know what we're brewing yet.
Right. Me either.
Yeah.
So many unknowns. So many known unknowns.
But yeah, we'll be over at Emmett's hopefully next week. Although we said in the last episode that didn't happen. Here we are, but we should be there.
Yeah, they bumped us for a bottling day, so I think we'll get it done this week.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. Where can people find you? Get in touch. We're not here.
Hey man, I'm on Twitter at Nicosio.
And I'm on Twitter at BRAD, Chicago Beer Pass, Twitter, Instagram, always lots of good-looking beer photos there. And we'll be back next week with another episode. Take care.
Cheers.